a story of invention and legacy. In the swirling fog of the Industrial Revolution, where the air was thick with coal smoke and the streets echoed with the clatter of horse hooves, a quiet revolution was underway. In the small German city of Karlsruhe, a young boy named Karl Benz was growing up with a curiosity that knew no bounds. He was fascinated by machines. Anything that moved, ticked, or turned captured his imagination. What no one could guess at the time was that this young boy would grow up to change the world forever. The young engineer with a big dream.
Born in 1844, Karl Benz was raised by his widowed mother after his father, a locomotive driver, died of pneumonia when Karl was just 2 years old. His father's early death left a mark on him, but it also inspired a lifelong passion for transportation. Benz excelled in his studies and graduated from the Polytechnic School in Karlsruhe at the age of 19 with a degree in mechanical engineering. He began his career working for engineering companies, but his mind was never at rest. He had a vision, an audacious dream that one day people would move not on horseback or by steam-powered railways, but in personal vehicles powered by internal combustion engines. Most people dismiss the idea as science fiction. Cars without horses? A machine that anyone could drive? It seemed ridiculous at best and dangerous at worst. But Karl wasn't deterred.
Building the first car. In 1871, Karl married Bertha Benz, a woman whose belief in him would prove just as vital as his mechanical genius. Using her dowry, they founded a company together, Benz & C. While the company manufactured stationary engines, Karl quietly pursued his obsession, designing a motorized vehicle that could move on its own. By 1885, after years of sleepless nights and endless tinkering, he finally succeeded. The result was the Benz patent motorwagen, the world's first true automobile. It looked like a large bicycle with a seat, a single-cylinder four-stroke engine mounted behind it, and wooden wheels with iron rims. It was capable of reaching a top speed of 10 to 16 kilometers per hour, about 610 miles per hour. The car was revolutionary, but there was a problem. No one had seen anything like it before. People were skeptical, even frightened. Some mocked it, others said it was too noisy, too unreliable, and completely unnecessary. The world wasn't ready. Bertha Benz, the first road trip in history. Enter Bertha Benz, the unsung hero of automotive history. In 1888, without informing her husband, she took the Benz patent motorwagen on a journey that would become legendary. She left Mannheim early one morning with her 2 teenage sons, heading toward her mother's home in Pforzheim, over 100 kilometers, around 65 miles away. Along the way, Bertha had to overcome every obstacle imaginable. The vehicle needed frequent refueling, which meant she had to stop at a local pharmacy to buy Ligroin, a petroleum solvent that acted as gasoline. When the fuel line clogged, she cleared it with her hat pin. When the ignition wore out, she used her hairpin. She even hired a blacksmith to mend a broken chain. Bertha's journey proved what Karl couldn't. The car was not just a mechanical marvel, it was practical. She demonstrated that the automobile could handle long distances, that it could be maintained on the road, and that it was useful for everyday people. When she finally arrived in Pforzheim, the news of her trip spread like wildfire. Suddenly, people were paying attention.
The rise of Daimler and the birth of Mercedes.
While Karl Benz was building his car in Mannheim, another genius was working just a few miles away. Gottlieb Daimler, along with his brilliant partner Wilhelm Maybach, was experimenting with high-speed gasoline engines in Stuttgart. In 1886, they installed one of their engines into a carriage, essentially inventing another version of the automobile.
The two inventors, Benz and Daimler, didn't know each other and worked independently. Their companies became fierce rivals in the early years of the automobile industry. In 1900, a wealthy Austrian entrepreneur named Emil Jelinek, who was also passionate about racing, began collaborating with Daimler. He asked them to build a fast, reliable racing car. He named the car Mercedes after his daughter, Mercedes Jelinek. The name stuck, and the Mercedes brand was born. The Mercedes 35 Hochpool, released in 1901, was a major breakthrough. It had a longer wheelbase, lower center of gravity, and was faster and safer than anything else on the road. It looked more like the modern car and less like a motorized carriage. The world was now watching. Automobiles were no longer oddities. They were becoming the future, the merger that changed history.
The early 20th century was a time of both opportunity and challenge. As the automobile industry grew, so did competition. The economic strain after World War I made it hard for many companies to survive on their own. In 1926, in a historic move, Karl Benz's company, Benz and C, merged with Daimler Motor and Gesellschaft. The new company was named Mercedes-Benz, honoring both legacies. It adopted the iconic three-pointed star logo, symbolizing Daimler's dream of engines dominating land. Karl Benz lived long enough to see the early success of the company. He died in 1929 at the age of 84, knowing that his once ridiculed invention had become an essential part of modern life. The legacy lives on. Today, Mercedes-Benz is one of the most prestigious and respected automobile brands in the world. It stands for luxury, innovation, and performance. But behind every sleek model is a story of persistence, courage, and vision. Karl Benz's determination, Bertha Benz's fearless road trip, Gottlieb Daimler's engineering brilliance, and Emil Jelinek's marketing genius all played a part in creating what we now take for granted. Every time you see a Mercedes-Benz on the road, remember that it began as a noisy tricycle driven by a brave woman down dusty German roads. It began as an idea in the mind of a man who refused to accept the limits of his time. It began with a dream to move forward faster, freer, and without horses.